Hey, so thanks for joining us today on the Vinyl Pulse Webcam interview series. This is our second one. Today we're really happy to have 2Petalrose, Liam Scriven from London, talking about his toys. You probably know him best for Maiko, which is a pretty amazing geisha slash samurai, like almost 12-inch figure. It's a handmade resin, so welcome, and thanks for joining us today.
How you doing, man? You're right.
I'm doing good. So why don't you talk to us a little bit about kind of how you got into art and toys, and maybe also about whether or not do you do toys full time or do you have like a day job, and if so, what is that?
Okay, well, I was always in bands, and I was always more of a musician, sort of growing
Oh,
up.
okay.
It wasn't until I was maybe in my early 20s. I mean, I've always been a toy collector. I've collected toys for years. A loft. I've got a loft full of toys.
Awesome. What kind of
And
toys do you collect?
it was one of those. What's that?
Oh, sorry. What kind of toys do you collect?
You know what? I've got a lot of McFarlane toys.
Oh,
So when I first started out, it was a lot of Spawn figures and things like that. Then I just got then I got into more kind of the one-offs. I got just a random collection of things. So if something looked good, I've got a lot of Gundam, Robotech, yeah, that kind
right,
of field, you know.
right.
Um, but there's a lot of them, and I
Awesome.
think I don't know when I first got into. I stumbled across a money. I think it was a my brother was telling me about money and how you could kind of customize them and things. And I think I did a mecha. I think a mecha money. It had like
Oh, okay,
airplane wings at the back of its head or something. So I
okay.
think that was my I kind of did this thing and was like, this is amazing. And then kind of from that, I stumbled into this resin world. And when I started, I think when I started, it was about 2008, 2000, maybe 2008.
Okay.
And there really wasn't too much going on in the resin world. So
Right.
there was the odd forum and things, and some of the guys going now. I mean, Hutchie was still, he's going strong, but that the information there was quite hard to come by.
Yeah. That's a
Not
good
as readily
point.
available as it is now. Yeah,
That's a really good point because I mean, right now, so the resin scene is huge, and there's so many independent
yeah.
artists such as yourself doing resin. But back in 2008, it was still all about like production vinyl made in
Oh,
China.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
resin. I think resin was kind of frowned upon a little bit, as in, I
it
don't
kind of
think people
was.
thought that the quality wasn't there. I think that's what people thought. Oh, it's a resin figure. It's going to be, like a B movie toy. It's going to
Right.
be the finish isn't going to be as nice as you would on a production piece. But I mean, that's really changed now. I mean, the quality of people's resin is off the chart now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see. I think the first like resin toys you did were the Combat Kings, right? Which were sort
That's
of the
yeah,
blocky
little
action
comeback things. Yeah,
figures. Did
yeah.
you do? When was that? Do you know roughly what timing that was?
I think I think the first one was maybe at the turn of 2008, 2009.
Okay.
Um, I think that was the first one, and I did this little SAS figure, and
Right.
it had like a little gun, and
He
I
had
thought it was
like
weird because
goggles or night vision goggles or something too.
yeah, I think it had a gas mask. It had like a
Oh,
big
okay.
canister outside there, and it was elastic on it. And I think for my first resin figure, I kind of went. I think it had posable arms, it had a posable head, it had
Wow.
a gun, accessories, and I don't know why. I think I toyed with the idea that I would just have a single piece.
Right.
But my thing has always been accessories. It's always been the stuff that you get with figures. That's when I collect figures. It's the stuff that you get with it. You kind of look at it
Yeah,
and look at all
absolutely.
the stuff. Look at all the cool stuff you've got with it. So obviously, when making figures, that's what I'm going to do.
Right, right, right. So the Combat Kings, those were articulated?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Wow.
yeah. So it had sort of a static body, and then the head was posable, and then he had guns, and then the arms were posable as well.
Okay. Wow, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So then,
Yeah.
did you do any toys between that and Maiko?
No, so I took a break. I think I was doing quite big runs of the Combat Kings, maybe 40 to 50 at a time,
Oh, wow.
which was amazing. It was great, but I think I burnt myself out a little bit. I think I needed a bit of a break. So I think I took about 2 years. It was about 2 years out
Okay.
of just,
Sounds
I
about
didn't
right.
make a
Yeah.
thing, Yeah, I just kind of distanced myself from it and kind of, and then I guess it gave me a long time to think about where I wanted to take it. You know, I think the problem is when you're selling and you're doing big runs of things, 40 to 50, that you haven't got any time to actually figure out where you're going. You're like, it sells, so I'll just make more. And you keep making them, you keep making them, and you're like, I don't know where do I want to go with this, you know? So it was nice to have that break and then come back and really decide to take a slightly different approach to it, you know?
Okay. Did you, when you started to decide that you were going to come back and do toys again, did you know immediately, oh, I'm going to do, you know, a geisha kind of warrior, or were there other ideas that you had?
Well, actually, Mako was supposed to be based on, it was the actual figure was supposed to be almost a stand for a helmet.
Okay.
So my concept was, you know, when you have those kind of dolls where you hang jewelry on and things like that?
Sure.
Right? So it was kind of similar to that kind of vibe, and it was going to be an ornate helmet. So it really wasn't a character as such. It was more based upon a helmet. And then when I started sort of getting into the idea and this sort of figurine became more geisha-like, there's where the concept sort of came, and I thought, actually, these are two, you know, these are two things that go really well together. So it just sort of,
I get it. So the form kind of like led you to the design a little bit.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, nice. And so with Maiko, it's kind of interesting. Like you came up with the first one that did sort of have, it was kind of had a sort of stand-like shape, like you were talking about. And then I think that was like the summer of 2014, something like that. And then by that following, you know, by that Christmas of 2014, you had already come out with the second version, with Maiko 2, which is what pretty much Maiko is now, and it was more fleshed out, and you brought her hands to the front in different pose. Can you talk about kind of how you quickly decided to change from the one sculpt to the second one?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the first one, I really that original one actually, I do like that piece. Last ToyCon, there was one there in a case, and the booth that I had a couple of Makos in, and I really do like the piece. But it's a bit cartoony for what I was kind of going for. I think the original plan for that figure was almost somewhere between the vinyl world and the 1/6 world. It's that kind of cute kind of vinyl thing, but with almost like with the scaled and almost real, but not. You know, it's that statue, so it's not too posable. So I guess when that first one came out, I was like, I really like this piece, and I want to release it. And I did. I can't remember how many it was. 10, maybe 10.
Okay.
I think most of my releases are in 10. But just it wasn't serious enough for what I was kind of going for. So I mean, I released it, and I've still got the master from it, and you know, maybe one day you'll go back to it. But I think maybe the way she is now is kind of, I think, how I had originally in my head.
Okay, right, that makes sense. And so Maiko, the new one of the things that is pretty amazing is that, and I remember when you sent emails out to, you know, the various press people, myself included, you mentioned, you know, custom printed like obi and fabrics. And so I wanted to ask you about how that came about, how you decided to do that, and how you actually do that in a sense.
Well, all these things is just so much research goes into kind of, you know, you have an idea. You say, I really want to make my own fabric, because if you buy fabric and you scale it down to 1/6 or around about that size, the print's too big. Right. It looks, you know, so if you on a small obi on the back of, it just, you're not going to get the pattern right. It's going to have, you know, like for the wave pattern I usually use, you're going to get one wave and that's it. Right. It's not going to work. Right. So I tried a few companies that print material, digital print. So I design it on computer and I send it out, and they, you know, they print it, they send it back to me, and then we'll stitch it back here, which my wife helps me out with. She's
awesome.
She's a better seamstress than I am. So I don't go there really.
Right.
But that was the idea. I really wanted to be able to scale the patterns down so they looked like they fitted the figure. And also, if you were doing commissions, I could say to someone, what color do you want? Send me the color you want and I'll match it. And I can do whatever pattern you want. And if it's something you're into, we can do that. If it's your company, we can put that on there. And it really does, that the scope for commissions on that is it's really good.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, the other thing, kind of when we're talking about the fabric, and you mentioned, just wanted to do something and having to research it. Looking at your figures, I realized there's actually a lot that's going on with them, right? And you talk about them as like handmade resins, but I know you've shown in some of your pictures, kind of like behind the scenes pictures, progress pictures on Instagram. Like it looks like you're laser cutting the masters for at least some of the parts, right? Like the helmet, like
that's right,
ornaments and things like that.
That's it. Yeah. So they're designed by me, and then there's a couple of guys that will cut those pieces for me. The reason I went that way, I mean, I used to make them out of resin, and it's possible. Okay. It's possible, but you do get some bending in resin. So with Mako's wings, they're huge on the helmet there.
Right.
And they just sometimes just would bend slightly out, and it just bothered me slightly. I was like, no, they can. And to have that, I mean, those plates, those crests, those domain dates on those helmets are pristine, and I think they needed to be on those figures. So when I thought about, again, it was one of those, like, what do I make this out of? How do we do it? And I found a couple of guys that did acrylic laser cutting, and it's really working out. It's really, I mean, you still have to find a way to attach them without, things showing and
right.
There's still loads of things to think about how you mix the mediums. Like how do you put acrylic into resin? How do you match those up?
Right.
And hide everything in place. But it's working. It's working.
Looks great. Yeah. And I mean, I think if you hadn't shown those, clear acrylic pieces, I wouldn't even have known that, right? I'd just be like, oh, it's making them out of resin or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you make any of the other? Do you use any other materials besides the acrylic and the resin for the figures?
I mean, most of the figures, the new ones, the Hondo figure comes with a base, a standard flag.
Right.
So that's all made. I make those out of wood.
Okay.
So there's usually a circle wood base, and then there's like I usually put a little ball joint in it, so the flag sits on a ball joint.
Okay.
That it kind of works for me. You can have it at angles. You can kind of like the flag sometimes hidden by the figure. So the idea is that you can kind of have the flag slightly out if you want to see it. And also, I mean, all these things are based on the idea that most of my figures get shipped to maybe the US or Asia, and the smaller you can pack things down and come apart and wrap separately, the better. So that's the idea. Take it apart, wrap it all in bubble wrap, put it in a metal case.
Yeah.
And put more bubble wrap around it and a wooden box.
Okay, right. Yeah. So, I mean, it's pretty amazing all the work and different skills, like I said, you use to make these toys. Had you done like modeling before you decided to make resin toys, or?
No, not really.
Okay. Wow.
No, not really. No, it was kind of new to me. I mean, I've always been into art. It was more of a digital side for me. I used to do a bit of graphic design here and there, but as far as sculpting, see, I don't really class myself as a sculptor. I don't think the pieces that I make they're more based on shapes. If you see the figures, they're quite simple in their actual look. There isn't a lot going on there. It's just what I put on top of it that kind of, if you look at the sort of the main shape of the figures, Hondo's a little bit more complicated. It was a bit more of a sculpty kind of thing going on there, but generally I kind of keep the simple and then apply as much stuff to it as possible.
Okay. And Honda is the Samurai Rebel, Shogun Rebel?
Yeah, that's it, the Shogun Rebels, yeah. The idea is they're going to be a bit of a set there, I put the Shikomi, my figure that came after Mako.
Right.
And then before this one will probably be a part of that as well.
Oh, okay.
They're based around the same size. They're about 25 centimeters, so just, like 5 centimeters short of a 1/6 scale.
Right.
So there's going to be a series of those different characters coming in. So
can you tell us a little bit about the project you're doing for collecting display?
Yeah, so they do a custom series with artists every month. And they asked me to do. I think it was supposed to be earlier in the year, about April, but ToyCon was coming on, and I just didn't have time for it. So we managed to do it. So I think it's getting released on the 24th of this month. So in about 2 weeks, 2 weeks time. And I was kind of looking at the figure. I did a Mako a little while back with a Adidas symbol. It was like
Right.
sort of an ode to an old school kind of vibe. Samurai,
Right.
I really liked it, and I thought let's revisit that idea for this. And so it's kind of like this. It's like a b-boy
Yeah.
esque samurai kind of hip hop inspired.
Right.
All those kind of vibes in one thing. So we got the V-dub plate in the helmet.
Right.
We got, we got some Adidas. We got the 3 stripes. It's got a little getter blaster that comes with it.
Yeah, I saw that. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And you have like the band. He's wearing like a bandana on his face.
That's it. Yeah, he's got the mask on. That little getter blaster was actually I found a 1/6 scale, a Pioneer SK900, an old getter blaster.
Okay.
But it's obviously because of the scale, it's slightly too big. So it was all cut down, and then some of the panels changed, and so it's a kind of custom of an existing 1/6 scale getter blaster.
Nice.
Custom within a custom, I think.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna ask you. Can you show us I know you have some parts to show us, like the VW like helmet.
Yeah. Okay. So we can focus this.
Yeah, maybe a little bit forward more. There, that's good. That's good. Yeah. Awesome. Wow. That's right. And you've got the Kangol kind of like vibe going on.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the helmet there.
Right. And you have like stitching, right? Just like you do on some of your other helmets, like on the backside.
Yeah. These ones this is painted.
Oh, okay.
That's painted. I mean, sometimes I'll stitch it, and sometimes I'll paint. I think for this one, it kind of suited this better. The helmet, this small, you can't really get the stitching in there. But I usually Shikomi's helmet had a bigger neck plate on it, which you could kind of stitch in. But on this one, there wasn't a stitch kit in there.
Right.
So do you want to see? So the guy, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So let's put him over here. You might be able to see him a bit better.
Yeah, that's good. Bring it a little closer. Yeah, very cool. So is the basic like armor body, that's like an extra piece of resin that sits over the figure, or is it part of the mold?
It's one piece, yeah.
Okay.
So I think the figure's made up of one piece. The hands are separate.
Okay.
They get drilled and inputted in after, and then the head's on a ball joint. So it's this is actually made up of only like 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, it's it does look. You're right though. Yeah, it does look like it's.
Yeah.
Like
did a good job with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you turn around? Can we look at the back real quick?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Very cool. And do you? I know you talked about that. You love like accessories. Combat Kings had a lot of accessories. Obviously, Maiko has a lot of accessories. Do you build all of those by hand? Do you base them sometimes off of other existing parts, like the boombox that you were talking about?
Yeah, some of them. Yeah, I mean, some of the swords I've used hilts from certain swords that I liked.
Okay.
And then built my own kind of parts to them. I think a lot of them. I always kind of think I could come at this from scratch, but I've got something here that I can adapt.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of maybe not a quicker process because you're still adjusting something, but I think sometimes it's kind of nice to have a base level and then work on it from it.
Right.
I just found this. This is one of the accessories from. So did you see these on?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I've always wanted to make a pair of glasses for this dude, and honestly, it's a little thing, but
are those acrylic or no?
They're acrylic. Yeah.
Okay.
And I did it. They were going to be black, and they were going to have like my logo kind of on the side.
Oh right.
But I really like them in white.
Okay.
I think they're going to stay white.
So that's going to look pretty crazy when you have it all there with a helmet and the eyeglasses and the bandana.
Yeah, I mean, it could look well over the top, but I think hopefully you're gonna, you can take it all off. So the idea will be I'm going to have a plain picture and then everything on him. and I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be full on. I think there's going to be a lot of pieces. So
Yeah.
you've got the figure, you've got the helmet, you've got the base, the flag, the ghetto blaster, the bandana. You've got a sword. There's a lot and the glasses. There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. You said that's an addition of 5?
Yeah, just 5. Yeah, I wanted to make more. There was just no way I was going to make any
Collectors
more.
are going, oh!
Honestly, I've been on
like,
this
can
for
I
months.
get one? 5.
I've been working on this for months. It takes so long.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I think that you mentioned about how you were doing Combat Kings, and it was awesome that you were selling at 40 or 50 at a time, but it was kind of like a lot of work too, almost maybe too much workload-wise.
And also, I think, I really like making sets of 5 and 10. I think you can keep that quality from like the one piece, and you can copy that through to 10, and you can keep that as it's keeping my interest as well as other people's. I think it's that you doing that 10th one. I'm still into it. When you're doing 50, painting the 50th one, I think it's tough. It's really tough to kind of think, right, I've got to do this as good as the first one.
Right.
It's tough, and
right.
And I'm always trying to do that. So to do 50, I think it's just too much. It's just too much. So 10, I can keep that quality control at 10, definitely, and 5 even more so.
And I guess also, in addition to the quality control, doing smaller runs like 5 or 10 kind of helps keep the designs like fresh, right? You can keep coming up.
Yeah, I mean that's what it's all. This is when I started this again. That was all. It was really about that. I just really wanted to. It's so easy when something's popular to, if you're lucky enough to have people kind of go, and we really like that. It's so easy to kind of say, right, well, I'll just release as many as I can of it then. Which in one way is really nice, because if people want it, then you should be able to deliver it. But at the same time, we've got to keep both parties' interest going, So it's it's a tough balance.
Right. Have you been tempted to, I mean, we just talked about how awesome it is to do 5 or 10 and how that works really well. Have you been tempted, kind of due to demand from collectors, to try to do more? Or this is just what works, so that's...
Yeah, I think, you know what, I think 10 is just a nice number for me. I think any more than that. I think Shikomi was 15, actually.
Okay.
And that was tough. That was my limit. I think at 15. I think there's a lot of details for for each one, and it really is to make 15 of everything. It's a lot. It's a lot of pieces. But I mean, if it was a simpler, these figures are all around about the 12-inch mark. They're all big, and people have asked if I'd make smaller pieces, which we could go there and see what happens, and maybe then the releases could be slightly bigger. But I think the focus on this size right now, you can just pack so much detail into it. It's great. Yeah,
and I mean, I think, even though I was asking, could you do more, I think it's pretty amazing how much sort of detail and artistry you've managed to put into them, right? Because you're doing 5 or 10. Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah, they're really cool. I think you have a Shikomi that you could show us?
Yeah, I do, yeah. So I made an extra. I don't ever make an extra one. I never make an extra one.
Okay.
I read something about with Huck G, and he said he always makes a number 11.
Right. He does.
And then he did a show with a number with all of his 11s, right?
That's right.
It's such a clever idea. I've never done it. Never done it. But I made a 16th.
Okay.
So this is, you can kind of, I guess you can kind of see it. Yeah,
definitely.
And this one was this. She's a ball jointed doll. So I mean, basically on this figure, I made the body, the feet, the head is an adapted doll head, and it was all based around could you combine the two? Could you combine a production ball jointed sort of doll figurine into a resin figure?
Right.
And I really like her. I've done a static version of her now as well.
Oh, okay.
So there was one at ToyCon. It was like an army one. She had like an army helmet and things like that, but that was static. That wasn't joint. That she had no joints. So
Okay.
I've done another one. It also helps when changing the color because obviously with all the joints on this one, painting it's tough because if you're going to bend the joints too much,
Sure.
it's gonna
Right.
But yeah, so yeah, that's
Awesome. Could you show
that's
us the back too? With
yeah, of
the
course.
Obi? Ah, that's cool. Awesome.
Yeah, so that one's I think it's like folded up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can come down but yeah, she I think she's around it's about around about 12 inches, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
Anyway.
So, obviously you have the collect and display kind of hip hop one coming out shortly. What else are you working on? I mean, you mentioned you were kind of doing like a series of, I guess, Shikomi and Maiko and
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think the next figure it's tough. There's a few projects going on. I've got
Okay.
I'm doing a custom blank for Hutchie. He's got a show at Clutter, the Clutter magazine. Yeah. So I've got I'm doing one for that, which is Hutchie's blank is so Hutchie.
Right.
It's skull.
Yeah.
So trying to work with that. It's been interesting. It's good.
Oh,
So
I see.
I'm running a little bit behind on it.
Okay.
But I will get something. I will get something there. Yeah.
Awesome.
And then I've got another custom show. The Big C's Baby Fats.
Yes.
Yeah, there's another show at Woodbear. So
oh, okay.
So I'm doing another one for that. I did a kind of samurai kind of fats thing for the show at Rota Fuji. So it's bound to be a samurai again.
Right.
It's kind of what I do,
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah. So as my figures, I'm getting a bit of help from a guy in the UK casting up some figures. So it means that I can kind of get another release out kind of soon. So
all right.
Whether that will be just me or it'll be a collaboration, I'm not sure yet. So
sounds exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be good.
Right. So up until now, you've just been casting all your own parts, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's really hard to give over. It's really hard to kind of say, all right. It's always been my own quality control. I can see it through the whole, the whole way. But
right.
I don't know if Evan Morgan in the UK. He's incredible. He does a lot of casting for people. He's phenomenal. So yeah, he's going to be working on some casts for me, and I'm kind of tempted to do the skull version that I had of Hondo.
Okay.
I haven't had two of those. There was a grey and a black one.
Right.
So I'm tempted to kind of go with that as a release, I think. What's that?
Were those at ToyCon?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, those ones. Yeah, there was two. There was a grey one and an all black one. Yeah.
Right.
But I love skulls.
Yeah, who doesn't,
right? Great.
Yeah, pretty wicked.
Skull and the samurai. Yeah.
That would be great. All right. Is there any last thing you'd like to tell fans or say to your audience?
Well, you know what? Since when I came back doing this, the response has been incredible. It's amazing. I get a lot of emails and a lot of messages and kind of feedback, and it's been phenomenal. So a massive thanks to everyone, and a big thanks to you, man. So thanks for blogging my work.
Sure, absolutely. It's really easy and pleasurable to do so because it's so awesome. I enjoy getting them in my inbox. So thank you very much for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me, man.